Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I do hope you're well. I know there are a few of you out there who have some health things going on at the moment, so I just want to say I'm thinking of you and hoping you're coping okay. Also, can you see me? It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if it shows. Can you see the basket on the top of my old stereo? Yes, I still play discs in a stereo and cassettes, where there's just a bit of light catching on it. That's the very last of the shaft of afternoon light that I'm getting at the moment. We're definitely heading into winter, aren't we? Well, I've had the usual busyness in the last 2 weeks or so, and I had been planning to go to the garden today, but I've got other things which are more pressing. And in fact, I realised it's been 2 weeks since I last went to the garden, apart from one really quick visit to just harvest some leaves, brassica leaves. It's been 2 weeks. Now, I know that you will have seen there's been a couple of videos in the meantime, but I'd filmed those 2 weeks ago, and just by the way of other bits and bobs I've been filming and sort of staggering those videos coming out, so that although it looks like I was in the garden the other day tidying up the deck and dealing with the herb bed, it's 2 weeks ago. So I'm missing it. I am missing it. And there are things to do, and I will be getting down there with you and my camera at some point, soonish, I hope. But it just hasn't been a priority with other things that have been going on. But I do think I need it, because I might go a little bit stir crazy. Now, that's not to say that I've been literally in here 24 hours a day for the last 2 weeks. I haven't. I'm out pretty much most days. Right, so, just to say, look, I have my first Christmas card. This is from Lorena with one E. Lorena with one E as opposed to Lorena with two. Lorena with two is in the States. Lorena with one is in the UK. Thank you so much, little Robin. I'm going to have to put up my little stringed hand cards on soon. In terms of all that Christmas decorating and stuff, I don't normally decorate until about a week before Christmas. I might do it a little bit earlier this year, and I might actually share that with you. I don't have many decorations. I don't do a tree. I just put a few simple, lovely pieces on my mantle, but every single piece has got some significance. So when I open that box, unpack it and get everything out, I may share that with you. But what I am planning to do is, I don't know if it'll be every day, but I'm certainly planning to share some of my advent calendar window openings with you. My festive bookcase windows, yay, hopefully. So it's lovely to have my first Christmas card, and it's that thing of, am I starting maybe to get that vibe? Maybe. Also, Lorena, thank you. She sent me a load of her spare, the sort of plastic Tupperware type takeaway trays I use for my freezer storage. She sent me some of her spares. Brilliant, because I'm always using them. So the other day, actually I might save this we'll see how we get on today, but one of the things I did the other day, which was a really, really lovely job to do, I almost thought about turning on the camera. I didn't. I might do. Can you see my cabinet of fabrics, and on the top as well? Hopefully you can see that it's a bit neater. So I spent a couple of hours literally with everything out of the cabinet. I've also got 2 sort of old beat up vintage suitcases that I keep under my bed for storage. Had those out, literally got all my fabrics out, every single last piece. Then in the cabinet, it had mostly, in any case, been fabrics that I've bought specifically for buntings, and they're arranged in groups that those different colour combinations, pattern combinations are going to be for the buntings. So I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about seven specific different groupings. But in going through all the fabrics, where I've got enough to say make one single pennant, I thought, oh, that would go nicely in with that one. So although I'll be making multiples of some designs, hopefully I'll be able to make 10 of each. Like say if I do my lavender and love again, which is the one I sell for Macmillan. So although so for example, let's say I can make 10, 9 of them will be identical. The 10th one will be almost identical, but there may be one extra pennant in there that's been made from a fabric from my own stash, from my own family, that's got my own history in it. But you won't necessarily know, but it'll just make it that little bit more sort of special and personal. So that was great, matching up all those fabrics. There's also a little section in there which is my very, very, very neutral fabrics. There's another bit in there which is, Lord help me, I had this in mind for Christmas 2019, it didn't happen. Had it in mind for this year, it hasn't happened. Look, the garden this summer, where I would normally leave it alone for 2 months, it took so much of my time. Worth it for all the veggies, but basically I've got fabrics in there which are, they're not exactly Christmassy, the normal stuff like say robins and holly, although I've got a bit of that, but things like polar bears and penguins, that I was going to make mantelpiece, firepiece buntings, but not the big pennants I do for the garden buntings or the big wall buntings, but much smaller pennants so that they'll just hang and drape around a mantelpiece. So I will get on with those for Christmas 2021. Oy vey. Yeah, that is going to have to wait because I really want to show it to you. So yeah, that was a good sort out, neutrals, and then there's all sorts of odds and sods that I've had for a while that I may have bought for a project, and then I've changed the fabric I was doing for that project, so I've got them. And what I'll do with those, when I've got through all of the rest of it and making the buntings, I'll look to see what I've got left, and I'll just make some more buntings or something else. I've got to say, I am not a fabric hoarder. I know a lot of you are. When I've got fabric, I use it. It may take me a couple of years to get round to using it, but I do use it. This is work. This isn't for me, for my own kicks, although there is a little bit right in the bottom which you probably can't see, which is for my quilt, for my own personal quilt. And generally, if I've got some fabric, like I've got a few bits and bobs that have come from my nan, a couple of bits and bobs which have come from Auntie Teapot, they're only really small pieces, and with those, generally speaking, I will cut them for patches, for patchworking, for something for me. So that's the cabinet. Then I've got the 2 trunks under the bed. I've got one trunk which is full of heavier weight fabrics. They're all cottons again, but they're anywhere between sort of heavier than quilting weight right up to upholstery weight. Ideas for those too in terms of cotton shopping bags, aprons, you name it, there's ideas for them. And then another trunk full of my own collection that has been added to recently, but my own collection of vintage fabrics. When I say vintage, I'm talking sort of pre-Second World War. So I've got bits and bobs of fabric, broderie anglaise, lace, ribbons, all sorts in there, which will then be joined by, this is the last, there's so many on, there's absolutely masses on here. This is the last of the bits from indicate that are too either damaged, cut into, or there's one, oh, I really thought I'd got all the stains out. I really thought I'd done it. But then when I was pressing it, they're all still there really faintly across the whole cloth. And I just felt it was too much in terms of someone buying it as a tablecloth extant. So yeah, they will all go into the trunk as well. These are all going into the repurposing trunk. Yay! Lots to be getting on with, and I've sort of said to myself that December, January, February, March are predominantly going to be, it's all about the sewing. The reason, sorry, my mind's all over the place today. I feel like I haven't caught up with you for ages, although it's only been a couple of days. The reason I was mentioning about the garden and not being there and it's not a priority, partly it's because I have to earn an income. I do still have bills to pay. The lights are on, the heating's not on, but so over the summer, I've been managing just keeping on top of paying for things, which is great. But I need to build up a little bit of a reserve fund, I think. I'm only talking a few £100, but just as a buffer in case something breaks and I need to fix it. I have got 3 separate little savings funds, one for the sewing machine, one for the computer, and one for my muck fund. All 3 of those funds now have enough in them so that if my sewing machine and my computer broke tomorrow, God forbid, please let that not happen, but I can replace them. I've mentioned this previously, I have to look after my assets. Without the sewing machine, I can't sew. I can't generate something to sell. Without the computer, well, I'd be well and truly stuffed, wouldn't I? Because it's my shop, YouTube, all of that. So they're all taken care of. My muck fund is now plenty for me for next spring to get a load of muck for the garden. But what I don't have is any other sort of contingency fund. So I don't know. I don't want to jinx myself. Let's say name something that doesn't matter. Let's say my sofa broke. I wouldn't be bothered if my sofa broke. But let's just say that so that the jinxy genies don't hear me. If my sofa broke tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to replace it. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with the sewing and make that my priority so that over the whole winter I can hopefully generate a bit so I can put it aside as a safety net. And what that means is there will be less gardening videos. But it's the winter. We're about to go into winter. So that's kind of the natural rhythm of the year anyway. So I know a lot of people, excuse me, it's weird actually because a lot of people really love the gardening videos. They much prefer them over anything else I make in terms of videos. But there are other people who prefer all the other stuff I do rather than gardening. So I can't keep everybody happy all the time, but hopefully I can keep enough of you happy some of the time that you'll hang out with me still. I hope so. Crikey, I've waffled on already. My 4th, so I've got the cabinet for the buntings, the trunk for the heavyweight fabrics, aprons, bags, what have you, the trunk for repurposing the vintage linens, and then in front of me on the table, this is some absolutely mad colours. I don't normally work in such bright fabrics. It's crazy, isn't it? I've got all my Liberty fabrics here, all my lovely Liberty scraps. Some of them are samples. The colours are just, I would never normally work in a fabric like that, but I got all of them out the other day, went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. You wouldn't believe it on the table, and the rest are up there under the basket. That's the backs for the lavender bags. This is all going to be the patchworked tops. But yeah, having got literally everything out the other day, I started grouping the Liberty prints into sort of the more sort of paler pastel colours, the sort of pinks and reds, which are quite shocking, the blues, the greens, that. And I thought, actually, I mean, they're all beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So this is my priority job throughout December, is to get the Liberty bags sewn. To do that, I need to change the blade on my rotary cutter. Oh, I'm just looking at the clock. I was going to try and do this with you today. I am utterly paranoid about sharps, blades of any description, knives, needles, when, you know, syringes, needles at work, scalpels, saws, band saws terrify the Jesus out of me. I'm so phobic about sharps, it's ridiculous. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me today. My hands are probably going to shake, but I need to change the blade, so I will. If we've got time, I'll do it with you. We'll learn together, because this will be the first time I've changed the blade in my little rotary cutter, which was a treat to myself 18 months ago. I'd managed before with just scissors, but oh my goodness, this makes life so much more simple. So the reason I'm mentioning challenge is because you feel awfully far away. Maybe I'll bring you a little bit closer. Hang on a tick. There you are, that's better. Although I have to say, the light is so unforgiving, isn't it? Because it's so top heavy. Never mind. Yes, so that's going to be my little challenge. But I just wanted to have a little catch up with you all about the lockdown challenges we've been doing throughout lockdown. And I'm going to give you your very last one, because we should be coming out of lockdown in a week, hopefully. I hope you've all managed okay. I hope you've all been able to occupy yourselves with some creative things and fun things to do. So I just wanted to say, oh my giddy goodness, I've just noticed the dust on my picture frame on my Quentin Blake poster. Never mind. Yeah, I've had so many messages, emails, pictures sent. Oh, I've loved it. So if you remember in the first week, the challenge was to write a really long, chatty letter to someone you haven't been in touch with for ages. But not only that, decorate it. Go wild with your coloured pens and pencils or your watercolour paints. And loads of you did it, absolutely loads of you. It just, it gladdened my heart. Your recipients have all enjoyed receiving their letters. But what I really liked was a number of you mentioned to me how much you'd enjoyed just basically sitting at the table, mucking around with felt tip pens and coloured pencils again. Some of you stole them from your grandchildren. Well, you've given them back by now. But yeah, the overwhelming feeling I got from everything you were all saying was that you felt like a child again doing some colouring in, and it was wonderful. It was complete escape. So you know what? Keep it up. Why don't you get yourself a little scrapbook or sketchbook and keep colouring in? Because I think those moments when we lose ourselves and we are like that kid again, it's how lovely in that moment for all or maybe most of your other cares to just disappear while you're colouring. So that was week one, and like I say, from all the messages I've had from you, and I loved seeing your photographs. I know a load of you did it, brilliant. Week two, we had our alphabet photographic safari. I've only had a couple of you get in touch with me to show me how you got on, and one of you know who you are, you've made your granddaughter a nameplate for her bedroom made up of your individual photos. Brilliant. Oh yes, so last week the challenge was walk up to your bookshelf with your eyes closed and just point and grab that first book that comes off the shelf, because we all have those unread books. Two things. One, I loved it. One of you told me that the book your hand landed upon was something you'd had for was it 7 years you said? 7 years, you'd had it for Christmas from your sister. Had always thought, oh, it's not my kind of thing, but you can't get rid of it because if your sister comes around to your house and sees it's not there. So that was the book you landed on and actually really enjoyed it. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? Sometimes we can think we're not going to like something. Give it a go. You might like it and it might open up a whole new author to you, what have you. I know that Paul from Richard and Paul did his challenge. So he went to his bookcase blindfold, alighted upon a book about Monty Don, you know, the presenter from Gardener's World. I'm sure most British folk who are watching today, you'll know who Monty Don is. It sounds like a really lovely book, which I'm going to try to steal. Well, borrow from Paul. It's not really a book about how-to gardening, but more a book about the whole, how gardening can be such a healing thing to do when our minds are frayed and our hearts are broken. I think the word redemption is actually in the title of the book, but that redemptive power of gardening, wonderful. And what really delights me is, Paul was saying, he, in a way, like I did over the summer, we were having a drought out there, but we were also having a reading drought. And since he picked that book off the shelf, he's just fallen completely back in love with reading again. And in fact, I think he's going to start his own series of book reviews, specifically to do with gardening books, probably some nature as well, I'm not sure, but not the how-tos, but the whole, the sort of the emotional part of gardening and how wonderful and healing it is. So that's brilliant. So never mind all that. Your last challenge. So like I say, this is my challenge. Your last challenge, we're going to pull and draw on a few of all of these little challenges we've had. I'm going to give you two options. So the first option is write your name, your first name, could do your middle name, but your first name and surname, write them on a piece of paper. Say this is your piece of paper. Write your name down the side. Next to each letter in your name, write a cooking ingredient. Obviously, mine would be vermicelli. Ooh, and I could have violets for the second V. Yeah, write down a whole load of ingredients from the letters of your name and invent a dish from them. Or if you've got a really long name, there's lots of letters, maybe you could invent a whole meal. Yeah, so I could have vermicelli, I for ice cream, obviously for pudding. I don't know what other I would have. I wouldn't have iguana because I wouldn't eat an iguana because I'm veggie. But yeah, have a go. And I think it's another of those things, perhaps if you've got kids or grandkids, you can involve them too. Get inventive, go mad. Please don't go mad buying expensive ingredients though, if you're never going to use them again. Try and do it from the store cupboard if you can. Now, if that's too daunting, or if you've got a name that's too awkward, like mine's pretty awkward, instead of doing that, it's like the blindfold bookcase thing again. Put your hand out, grab one of your recipe books. Anyway, don't look, just grab a book. And then again, without looking, flick through the pages, do a boom, that one, and make it. Wherever your finger lands, make that recipe. Because I'm sure we're all the same on this. I don't actually use recipe books very much, but I've got a couple I like. But within them, I've probably only made 3 or 4 recipes out of maybe 100, 200. We tend to kind of repeat, you know, we try a recipe, we like it, it becomes part of our repertoire, we do it forevermore. On this occasion, don't do something completely different, have fun. If any of you manage to do it with your names, oh my goodness, I can't wait to hear about that. I can't wait to hear what crazy ingredients you come up with. You know, you could actually do both. especially if you're doing it with the kids or grandkids, do the name one and invent a menu. But if it's too wacky, yucky, maybe don't make it, but just have fun inventing. But do make one from one of your recipe books. Yay, go have some fun in the kitchen. But yeah, like I said, don't go mad buying special ingredients that you're never going to use again. None of us need to be spending money we don't need to at the moment, do we? So I was going to do other stuff. Oh, I might still do this and show you, but I'll do a separate video because I realise as usual, I've gone on one. So for now, I'm going to leave it there today. Thank you so much for joining me again. Oh, I can't wait to get stuck into all this material. Oh, it's so beautiful. Let me show you one or two of them really, now that I've pulled you in closer. Oh no, there's too many, I can't choose. I tell you what I do love, and I've got them in a few different colourways. It's, like I said, this is all Liberty, but the Paisleys, I don't know if the light in the room is going to bleach them out too much, but isn't that gorgeous? I particularly like it with that sort of turquoisey blue background. Oh, I need to press these again before I cut. Look at me wrinkles! In the cloth, not my face. Yeah, can't wait to get stuck in. So for now, I'm going to say cheerio. Cheerio, the lot of yous. Have fun getting inventive in the kitchen. I'll see you again really soon. We'll see if we can get this blade off. I'll see if I can show you that to you. But until the next time, yeah, please stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves and each other. Wherever and whenever you can, find ways to have fun and be daft. Because you know what? Life's too short to be serious all the time, isn't it? We do need to be serious sometimes, but when we don't have to be serious, let's be blimmin' daft. All right, lovelies. See you again really soon, I hope. Bye for now.